Hey everyone, it's Matt from Train Sim Society. Welcome back to the channel, or welcome if you're new. So it is now day 2 following the release of the Birmingham to Crewe route for TSW6, and there has been a pretty big update from Dovetail Games regarding the state of the DLC. So I am deep into preparing my full formal review, which should be out either tomorrow or the day after. I have already logged about 10 hours of gameplay and gameplay footage and have written over 10 pages of notes in my Google document, so there is a lot that I'm going to be saying. There are some pretty amazing highlights, plenty of positives to go over, and definitely a number of negatives and tons of constructive feedback, so I can't wait to get that out when it is ready. And that is of course going to be an in-depth and honest review, but before we get to that, I want to cover what has changed since launch and what Dovetail has officially said so far. So yesterday's launch was pretty rough. I talked about that in detail in my previous video. Players on both PlayStation and Xbox were hit with major issues. PS5 users received an outdated build, while some Xbox players were stuck on 1135 instead of 1140. And the result of that has been constant crashing, blurry textures, broken timetables, missing sounds, players unable to complete the Class 350 tutorial without being thrown back to the home screen. Now, less than a day later, Dovetail's community manager DTG Jamie has posted a new update on the forums clarifying the current build numbers for both consoles and also outlining some of the known issues at this time. The most recent post came just 51 minutes before I started recording this video. So Jamie writes, correct build numbers are these for the two platforms. Xbox is 1.1.1140.0 and 651 for PS5. The patch on PlayStation yesterday morning updated but didn't change the build number. This also didn't change the blurry textures. If you are on these, you have the correct builds. There are a few issues we are currently working on, this including crashes and blurry textures, which we will updated when have news. There are workarounds for this currently. We're recommending that for anyone experiencing crashing on Xbox or PlayStation. As a temporary workaround, we found that using HD resolution settings instead of 4K and disabling layers, including class 150/LSL static layers, can help reduce this from internal testing whilst our teams work on improvements. I'm not going to go into details on that statement. I've already talked about what I think of that in yesterday's video, but interesting to say the least. Now, they do have a little list of known issues here. They write some announcements do not mention destination names. Station announcements at Stafford can be heard from up to 2 miles away from the platform. Contingency measures scenario does not direct the player to the newspaper stand on platform 12 at the end, preventing it being completed. Unit change scenario for the first change end task after departing Soho. The PBC task is not clearing up. For PS5, class 220 layer requirements needing the class 170 to appear, and they mention blurry textures and crashing, which go well beyond the scope of this route if we're being honest. But they're known issues and the team is working on and investigating them. Now, earlier in the day, Jamie had posted a series of follow-up messages acknowledging the confusion around the build numbers and apologizing for the inconvenience it caused. He said, quote, "This was due to investigation trying to work out which builds are correct and which ones aren't. PS5 had a patch go out yesterday, and this would put everyone on the correct build. We are aware of the blurry textures and it is being looked at." And he also added, "We are sorry for the confusion and inconvenience caused yesterday. We will keep you posted on any news we have." So it is important to point out that the PS5 patch that went out yesterday morning, which was referenced in a post made at 7:25 a.m., was meant to bring players to the latest version, but even after updating, players confirmed that most of the major problems still remained. The blurry textures, missing arrival times, and crashing issues are all still present despite being on what Dovetail considers the correct build. So while the situation has technically improved in terms of clarity, it really hasn't improved much in gameplay. The patch didn't fix the big problems. Console players are still stuck with a version that is borderline unplayable in certain places, but what's even more concerning is that some key issues still aren't listed under the known issues section. We have things like missing arrival times and timetable errors, which have been repeatedly brought up by players. None of that was mentioned at all in Jamie's post, and I will definitely be going into those those details further in my upcoming review because a lot of these problems that are being reported have been very easily reproducible in my Steam version on PC. So, at this point, the communication from Dovetail definitely feels a little spotty. Yes, we are getting updates, but given the scale of what's happening and how widespread these issues are, there really should be a little more transparency than what we're receiving. They have acknowledged the confusion, they've apologized, but the community still hasn't heard a clear explanation of what went wrong, and most importantly, how they plan to prevent this from happening in the future. Like I said in my previous video, and I hate to sound like a broken record, this is way more than bad luck. This is a clear pattern here. It's about trust. Players definitely need to feel confident that when they buy a new route, it's going to work as advertised and that we shouldn't have to wait for patches. And for some folks, that means missing the refund deadline. And I've seen that brought up so many times. And when something does go wrong, the communication needs to be quick, clear, and detailed. But for now, that's everything we know about the Birmingham to Crewe update as of this recording. Again, my full review is coming soon where I'll be covering everything I've experienced so far, lots of positives and negatives, and what I think the DLC gets right and wrong. But in the meantime, definitely share your thoughts down below. How has your experience been since the patch? If you've picked up the route, has performance improved? How's it running for you if you're on PC or consoles? Are you running into these issues? Are you not? Share all of your thoughts below. And that's going to be it from me for now. Take care, guys, and happy rail simming.